Good to
Okay,
go.
sounds good. Okay, good morning, everyone. Let's get this meeting started. So, actually, I see a lot of new faces, so maybe we'll do introductions this time around. I'm Lizette Shear. I'm the president of Koha-US this year, and I work at the Latah County Library District in North Idaho.
Oh, gosh. You're doing
Okay, let's see. Let's do Jason.
I'm Jason Robb. I am the Seek and Find coordinator at the Southeast Kansas Library System, and I am the koha-US secretary.
And Elaine.
Hi, I'm Elaine. I work for the English Folk Dance and Song Society, and I am koha-US board member for Unsupported Libraries.
Megan.
I am Megan Favre. I am a library technician, and I am a member at large supported.
John. You're muted, John.
Thank you. My name is John Sturbins. I'm the treasurer of koha-US in the role now for 3 years, and I'm the manager of electronic collections administration at the University of Michigan's Kresge Library Services. We call ourselves that because it used to be technical services, but when you don't get any more books, you really don't feel like calling yourselves a tech services department.
Okay. Let's see. So then I'm just going to go through the order I see people in the video. Christopher Davis.
No, that's totally different.
Hello, I'm Christopher Davis from the Uinta County Library back in Vernal, Utah, northeastern Utah. It's a public library, and I have been with us for a while, about 2014 or so. Happy to be here.
Well, whenever you're ready to
Okay, thanks, Christopher. George?
the hot idea, I'm available.
Somebody's not muted. I keep hearing other people that aren't announcing who they are. I'm George Williams. I'm the Next Search Catalog Coordinator at Northeast Kansas Library System. Todd will be joining us soon. He's in the other room right now.
Okay. Marty?
Hi, I'm Marty First. I'm the Assistant Librarian at Huntsville-Madison County Public Library in Huntsville, Alabama, and I am joined today.
I'm Tessa Frankenfield. I'm the event coordinator at the Madison Public Library.
Okay. Let's see. Brandon?
Hi, I'm Brendan Ford from Manhattan College in New York City. I do interlibrary loan and systems.
Okay, thank you. Nancy?
I'm Nancy Keener, Systems Librarian at Washoe County Library in Reno, Nevada.
Nancy's a short timer.
Yeah, 5 months.
Okay, education team?
Hi, it's Kelly calling. Kelly from Bywater Solutions. I'm one of the educators.
Ed?
I'm Ed Veal. I'm from McKinney Public as well, and I'm sysadmin and other things.
Okay, Todd? You're muted, Todd.
Todd Goatley with Bywater Solutions.
Fred? I'm not, okay.
Yeah, okay. Fred King, Washington Hospital Center in Washington, D.C. I'm a medical librarian, and that is why you can't see me today, because my computer and camera don't talk to each other.
Okay. Kalnins? It's the next one I see. Was that? Oh no, it just keeps moving. Okay. A lot of these people are muted, so if you start talking and nobody responds, that might be why. Cavalier.
Hi, to me that's loud. My name is Cheryl Cavalier. I work at the Upjohn Institute, and I'm a librarian there. We just started using Koha last fall.
Okay. Christopher, Brandon,
Sorry, what are we doing?
introductions.
Oh, just got here. I'm Christopher Brannon, IT coordinator for the Coeur d'Alene Public Library and the Cooperative Information Network Consortium.
Okay. Max.
Max Conley with the Washoe County Library System.
Okay. Alex.
Lifer. Max is a lifer.
Alex is the next person I'm seeing.
He says he doesn't have a microphone. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat too if you don't have a microphone.
Yes. And then, okay, solo librarian at Colorado Parks and Wildlife is Alex. The next one I see is, I have no idea how to say this, MSPAGNUOLO. Also no microphone. Heather said, I'm Heather Hernandez, Technical Services Librarian at San Francisco Maritime National Historic Park Research Center. Shauna.
Hi, I'm Shannon Pritchett. I'm a librarian 3 with the Supreme Court of Nevada's Law Library. We have a small staff here, and we're just kind of getting into this. So.
Okay. Holly. Also know Mike. Holly Cooper, a systems librarian with Interleaf Technology in Ireland. Cool. Okay, Candace. Candace Hope, the circulation supervisor at Payson City Library in Payson, Utah.
Utah represent. I said Utah represent.
And Barbara Johnson, Technical Services Manager at / Systems Admin at Bedford Public Library in Texas. Well, welcome. We've got lots of new folks here today, and it sounds like some of you are also pretty new to Koha, so welcome there too. Okay, announcements. So we have one announcement on the agenda today. Koha Global Bug Squashing Day is this Friday, February 14th, all day in whatever time zone you're in. Just trying to get bugs signed off and squashed there. There's a link in the agenda to the wiki about Global Bug Squashing Day. You know, browsing bugs and trying to make sure bugs are still relevant, signing off. One thing especially is that if you are a librarian and you can go through and comment on bugs about if, you know, how things would be helpful or less helpful, because, you know, sometimes they'll be starting to change something and it'll be like, oh no, if you change that, that's going to break lots of processes. You know, so making sure that the people who are writing the bugs hear about that. And Jason put the link also in the chat to the wiki page for Global Bug Squashing Day. Okay. Yes.
Is that?
Yeah.
I'll put a link in. Jesse and I with Bywater and a few other folks are doing like a live event on YouTube. So if anyone wants to join us, we are doing that on Friday to honor Global Bug Squashing Day from 11 a.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. Eastern. And I'll put the link in chat.
Thank you very much. Okay.
If I'd like to say, this isn't really my announcement, but Bywater posted their Library is Open podcast link today or yesterday with an interview with Marshall Breeding, and I listened to it this morning. It's really good, so I think everybody should take a chance to listen to that.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm sure Kelly could put the link for that in the chat too. I don't have it here.
I can, yeah, definitely.
But it was a good podcast. So.
Okay, sounds good. Any other announcements? Okay, so next is conference location overview and voting. So voting will start today for the conference location. It'll be open for a week. and we will be sending out the voting form to members after this meeting is over. We have 3 proposals this year, and let's see, I see we have representatives from 2 of the locations here. The 3rd one had an emergency and wasn't able to make it today. And so I thought that what we could just do is I'll talk a little bit about generally just a little bit of an overview for the 3 places and the dates, and then the folks that are here can talk a little more if they want about their specific place. So the 3 are Huntsville Madison County Public Library in Madison, Alabama, and the proposed dates would be September 15th to 18th, Tuesday through Friday. And then we also have Butte County Library and Chico Friends of the Library are going to help host it in Chico, California. And that date was going to be September 23rd to 26th, Wednesday through Saturday. And then the other one is McKinney Public Library in McKinney, Texas, Tuesday, September 22nd to Friday, September 25th. And I'm going to go now in reverse order from what I just did. If McKinney wants to talk first, I just kind of picked at random an order.
Talk about.
In the past, we've had people just talk about like why if they had more information they wanted to give about why they were a good place, or if anyone had questions about McKinney, now would be a good time. And there's a lot more information than what I just told you on the voting forms that are going out. But I don't want to just read all that out to you because it's a lot of information.
All right. McKinney is in the DFW area, which of course you've got transportation. It makes getting to the area quite easy because about most places can get a direct flight into DFW whether you like it or not. What else? Megan, help me out here. Some of the things that we've got planned is at the tail end of the conference. It butts right up against the McKinney's celebration of Oktoberfest, which seems slightly early, but there's a reason for it. Because the DFW area has so many different Oktoberfests, the adjoining municipalities try not to have events on the same weekends. And so, McKinney gets that weekend, which is nice. Got some good fun things planned. What would you like to add?
Yeah. So for Oktoberfest, we did it so that the last day of the conference would line up with Oktoberfest, and you will be right there. Like you'll be right downtown. You can just walk right into it and eat food, have a drink, listen to the music. It's really awesome. It's pretty cool. And we do have something planned with one of the local areas, and I think it was the ping pong tables that they had, setting up an event there. And the conference hotel that we have set up is right downtown. So you literally walk right out of there, and it's like a block, maybe a block and a half to where the conference will be held. So you don't have to worry about getting transportation to there. Everything is all set up and ready to go. And downtown McKinney is pretty cool because we have a lot of just unique shops that are down there. So we have the unique shops and the food, which is delicious. And I kind of miss working down there because it was awesome. So there's lots of different places for you to try where you don't have to worry about going out to do that. I mean, you still have that option, but everything is right there for you, which is why I really love it.
Another thing I'd like to add to this is we've just created a kind of users group, Koha North Texas, and it's predominantly the DFW area, but there are a number of libraries in this area that I can simply say that if it were hosted here, we could get more of them to show up, hopefully, because it's just a drive across town instead of travel. And we're hoping to get some interest there. And a lot of libraries that don't necessarily participate in this, things like Plano ISD, which is right adjacent to us, and they hosted the KohaCon in 2009. So we've got a lot of history with Koha here as well that we can bring in.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for Ed or Megan about McKinney?
What were the dates again, please?
Let's see. And the dates are going to be on the voting form as well.
Never mind then.
Okay. Yeah, all the information I put is on the voting form, and there's a lot. We asked for a lot of information, and we got plenty back. So all three of the, which I think is good, all three of the proposals have, you know, information about hotels and restaurants and all sorts of great information there. And
Was that?
Yep.
Do you have information on the cost?
Oh yeah, so the cost is going to be the same for all three this year. It's going to be $25 for members and $45 for non-members at all of the locations. Good question, George. Okay. I'm just going to do a little bit about Chico since Alex wasn't able to make it today. So Chico's a college town and has a good climate. They did have a fire a couple years ago, but they've rebuilt a lot from that. And they've really been focusing on like rebuilding their downtown and their community, and there's a lot to do there now. And beautiful that time of year, and there are lots of things to do in town and some beautiful places to visit in the area. That's just part of the bit that Alex had sent in. And if you have any questions about Chico, you can go ahead and ask them. Alex has emailed me during this meeting, so I think he's just in another emergency mode there, that something was going on with their catalog that he was working on, it sounded like. So I might be able to email and get a question if someone's got something during the meeting. And then Huntsville.
Good morning, everybody. So we are really excited about putting out this proposal to bring the conference to the Southeast. There are several Koha libraries in Alabama, 11 of which are supported by Whitewater. So there's at least 11 that I'm aware of, and even more throughout this area, including Tennessee, Georgia, the Carolinas, and Florida. And previous conferences have always been in areas that are not as easily accessible given, you know, conference budgets and whatnot. So we're really excited about the possibility of bringing the conference closer to people in this area, not to mention the fact that it is a beautiful area of the country. We want everybody to come see. Huntsville is now the second largest city in Alabama, and we are expecting even more growth between now and next fall, or now and this fall. Our Madison branch, which is where we would want to host this, is our newest branch. And I'll let Tessa talk a little bit more about the Madison branch in particular here in a moment as their event coordinator. We've got a lot of really great new restaurants that have come in the past, year or so. I'll like other great attractions as well. There's not far from the downtown branch, a repurposed high school that has an axe throwing range. If you wanted to go throw axes, you could. It's a thing. So, but I'll let Tessa talk a little bit more about the Madison branch in particular.
So Madison was just built in 2018. So we're the newest branch that we have, and we have one very large auditorium that has a garage door that can be lifted up to have a nice accessibility, and there's the projector and the screen that would all be handled. We'll be able to handle everyone that would be coming, and it would all be set up. And we'd also have availability for food, and we have food that is in walking distance to the library. We have barbecue, we have Applebee's, we have a really cool pizzeria that also does gelato.
Yes.
So we have lots of cool things that could be just right there next to it.
So the only thing that I am sad to say is that the Rocket City Trash Pandas, their season ends in September, before September. So you wouldn't be able to go to a Rocket City Trash Pandas baseball game while you were here, unfortunately. But you could get some merch if you really wanted to, because who doesn't love fun baseball team names? So, any questions?
I have a question. How close is the proposed hotel to the library?
So there are a number of hotels in the area, some that are really proximal to the airport. So, and they're all pretty much equidistant between the airport and the library the branch that would be hosting us at. So they range, the majority of them are about 3 miles. That's in Madison. If you wanted to go to a hotel that's in downtown Huntsville, which would be within walking distance to even more restaurants and attractions, that's going to be between 4 and 12 miles. From the branch.
I had a question about the climate that time of year. How is it?
Not that bad, actually. No. September in Alabama, and I'm originally a northerner. September in Alabama is not quite fall crisp yet. It doesn't start to get really cold until October, and usually like mid-October, but it's also not blaring summer heat anymore. So it's a lovely, very temperate, moderate temperature range, and usually not that rainy.
No,
in September. No.
Do the trees shed their leaves about that time yet, or?
Not quite. Yeah. You're still going to see plenty of green.
Yes.
Thank you.
And George put Google Map links to each of the locations in the chat there. So if you want to look at the maps, and there are also links in the vote-in document that we'll be sending out today. And actually, that was a good question, Christopher. I was kind of wondering the same thing about what's the weather like in McKinney in September.
You want to answer that, or do you want me to? I find it very pleasant, but I came here from, Houston, so you've got to take things. Megan, why don't you answer that? You've been here longer than I have.
I mean, it's not too bad. So like even just looking, the average is like in the 80s, but it's not terrible. And especially in the downtown area, it wouldn't be bad, especially because you're not like out and about walking everywhere. Like you're just right there. So I mean, it might be a little warm because it is Texas, but it's not terrible. And I'm from Minnesota, so I'm not used to like all the heat, and it's not bad at that time. So.
Would either of you care to say something about the humidity?
Probably not.
A very good answer. Thank you.
So Tess is originally from this area, so I'm gonna bounce this one to her.
September, the humidity's not nearly as bad as it is in the summer, so it wouldn't be miserable.
I really don't think the weather is going to be that difference between these two locations.
Okay. To vote, you'll have to be an unpaid member. Anyone who's already a member in good standing, which means you've registered and paid, will get the link probably after the conference meeting that's right after this, or right after this meeting, and then it'll be open for a week. If you aren't a member yet and want to join to vote, you can do that, and we can send you the link once you are a member in good standing. And that link is on our website. I will put it in the chat. And if anyone has any other questions about conferences before we move on, now would be a good time. Okay. When will we know the results? So voting will be open for a week, and then the conference committee is meeting, I think Thursday, like the day after the results close. Oh no, we pushed it back a week for some reason. So we're meeting.
I still have the 27th on my calendar. I think the Google calendar might be messed up.
Yeah, but next week, yeah. So we'll be meeting the 27th, and then we'll just have to check the results and confirm with whichever location wins that those dates still work for them and they can still host, and then have an announcement by the next general meeting, if not sooner. Okay. And here's the link to join koha-US is in the chat now.
Oh, I know the confusion. So we said that we would leave voting open for 2 weeks for this instead of just 1 week.
We did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
The email sent. Okay, so we'll have it open for 2 weeks, and then we'll meet the day after it's closed. The email I sent out was wrong. Okay. Because I had not written down if we were doing 1 or 2 weeks and needed to send that out. Okay. Next up, special interest groups. So we have quite a few special interest groups now. I know 2 of them have already met recently, both the cataloging and the system administration one. I'll put the link to our special interest groups on the website there. We have a Google group for all of them. We have one for acquisitions. We just haven't been able to get the link up on the website yet. We were having we had a group before we started making all the Google groups that had been made not with the koha-US account, and we just still need to get that link from someone who has it, since it's not in the koha-US link, and get that up. But all the rest are up there. Cataloging, they met the first Thursday of the month, which was last week. Their meeting is up on YouTube already, archived, and they'll be meeting, the first Thursday of each month at 8 Pacific, 9 Mountain, 10 Central, 11 Eastern. System administration, Ed's the leader for that one. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Heather Hernandez, who's here, is the leader for the cataloging one. And system administration met yesterday. I wasn't able to make that one, but they also have past meetings on YouTube, it looks like.
and I'll just jump in. I was at both of those. I think there were around 15 or 16 people at the cataloging one, around 22 people at the system admin one, which was really great turnout, I think. The cataloging video already has 40 hits on YouTube, so people are interested, and I think things are shaping up well.
Yeah. And I was looking yesterday at just how many people we have in the groups. I was adding a couple people who were having trouble joining. If you have trouble joining, since it's a Google group, some places block that functionality, but you can be direct added. You can email info@koha-us.org and let us know which group you'd like to be added to. And when I was doing that yesterday, all the groups seem to have a fair amount of people in them. And the cataloging one's the emails have been pretty active already. I was getting a bunch of stuff yesterday from them. We also have a user services group. Online patron access catalog and circulation is the focus of that. They haven't set up their first meeting yet, but she's planning on sending out an email today or tomorrow to try and set it up. She wanted to wait till after this meeting since we were talking about it. And then we also have a web development group that's going to talk about plugins and customization. And we've also had interest from someone in a serials user group. So that might also be coming soon. So if you're interested in joining any of these groups, or if you think there's another one that we need to have, and especially if you're interested in leading it, you can email info@koha-us.org.
And actually, is that we do have another interest group that just started. I haven't sent anything out yet. Through the generosity of Bywater, we have a demonstration instance of Koha that we are planning on having populated and operational in time for exhibiting at ALA Annual in Chicago this summer. So this is also a brand new special interest group that I am leading, and I'll be sending out a message to the general list as well as the members list soliciting volunteers to help set that server up and populate it with data so that we have something to show people when they come wandering by the exhibit hall if they happen to be going to ALA Annual. You can correspond to the general info@koha-us.org group to express an interest in that and that information, as well as a summary of all of this will be sent out to the two main mailing lists for this group by the end of the week to solicit volunteers to get this server up and running. And our thanks again to Bywater for providing this server for us to use for this purpose.
And we'll have a Google group set up for that also by the end of the week.
Lizette, there's also a group for Koha for consortia.
Oh yes, there's also the consortia group.
That's a group that's been around for a long time. The last time we met was actually in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Yeah.
And so it's a very inactive group, but a very old one. And I'll try to figure out what to do with that group now that we're getting more interest in that kind of stuff.
And I didn't check to see if we had more people who had joined that one after the.
I get those emails, so yes, we've had like about 5 people join since it got added to the special interest groups page.
Awesome.
And I think I've added everybody. So.
Okay, sounds great. We also have a new regional group, which is the Mountain West region group, and that is they met in, or a number of them met at the Colorado, Utah. I think it was a Utah summit late last year, and for now it's Utah, Idaho, Colorado, since Idaho doesn't yet have their own separate one, and from what it sounded like they were mostly planning on meeting online anyway, except maybe like once a year in person. So for now at least that one is including all 3 of those states, and you can join that from if you're interested also on the Collaborate with Koha-US regional user groups page, which we've got 4 so far listed. Kansas, Michigan, well, I guess Michigan still says more information coming soon. I think John was still coordinating with them.
Yeah, there's an effort to get something going here, but there's not all that many people that seem to be interested right now. It seems to be me and the folks up in Flint at the PALNet consortium.
And then Mountain West and the Koha North Texas user group. So also if you're interested in having a Koha-US regional user group, once again, you can email info@koha-us.org.
Hey, Lizette.
Mm-hmm.
You mind if I ask, how can Koha-US benefit a Koha users group?
So we have, well, we can host the Google group and post about it on our website, as well as posting about events like on the calendar. We can also provide our Zoom room if people want to meet digitally rather than in person, especially in states where it's maybe harder to meet in person regularly, or like Mountain West where it's like 3 states for now. So those are both things that we can do for our user groups.
Thank you.
Yes, 3 pretty big states for Mountain West. Okay, website updates.
Hey, I put that on there. So I just wanted to share what I've been working on just so people know where things are now, because I've moved some things around. So I'm going to share my screen. This one. I don't know what you're seeing. It should be. Do you see the homepage for the website? Okay, I see nodding. Okay, so I've updated the homepage a little bit just to make it snazzier. I added links to these 3 boxes to get you around a little faster. The Collaborate page has been updated to sort of guide you through different ways you can interact with the organization and with the Koha community. I did take off the open resources information from this page. So I wanted to point out that is now on our Learn From page at the very bottom. There are additional resources. I've built up that page a little bit with the help from some of our members. I included links to the projects that have been talked about at past Koha conferences, and then Micah and Robin gave me permission to kind of link out to some of their projects so that you can get in there and see it in action if you're interested, and also to give you contact points if you're interested in using some of these tools. And then I also have additional resources. We know that MarcEdit's not open, but we find it very useful for its integration with Koha. So I went ahead and linked to that as well. So there's some external to Koha resources available there as well. So I just wanted to make sure that didn't get lost and people knew that it was still there. So, and if you have suggestions, questions, things you want to add to the website, feel free to contact us at info, and we will get things put up, posted up. Also, if you find typos, let me know. I'll fix them.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Website's looking great. Okay, Kohathon recorded blurbs / testimonials. Todd, did you want to talk about this one?
Sure. I was hoping that for our Kohathon, we're going to have in between presentations, a brief period of time where we're going to be able to do a little promotion and solicitation for some fundraising. And I was hoping that it would be possible to maybe have some libraries that are on Koha join us, so you can talk about your experience a little bit, let people know how Koha is doing for you, and yeah, that's about it, just some of your experience. So if anybody would like to volunteer to do that, Kohathon is going to be happening on April 23rd. It's Library Giving Day. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have a little chat with you. And really, it's just to come in, and there's nothing formal. It's going to be rather informal, and you just get to talk about your experience. It's only going to be for a couple of minutes, and you know, we could really use your help.
And we had talked about pre-recording some of these so that, you know, if you can't be available, you know, we could just record it in advance and then put it in sometime throughout the day. So, and if you're interested in helping out with that, you can let us know at info@koha-us.org.
Has a schedule been put together yet for the Kohathon?
We're doing that. The conference committee's meeting right after this meeting, and it's just to schedule the Kohathon.
Okay.
So, and then we'll meet again later this month to talk about ALA and the fall conference. And that's kind of the conference committee report. We'll be scheduling Kohathon today. We'll find out in 2 weeks from tomorrow we'll be meeting 2 weeks from tomorrow to find out the results of the voting and contact the organizations that put in proposals. And we're also still working on sending some folks to ALA. Development committee, I don't think has met since our last, no, we met in January and just talked about like the development process somewhat. It looks like Rhonda wasn't able to make it today, but I think we got at least one proposal for a development, and I'm not sure if they were planning on extending that or not since we haven't heard anything. Todd, have you heard anything about that? About the next meeting? Okay. Education committee. Jessie sent that to me because she's in another meeting. So she wanted to talk about Global Bug Squashing Day, and also the SIGs are underway, and so we talked more about those already, and also that the next education meeting is next Wednesday at 10:30 Central Time, if anyone is interested in joining the education meeting. And what's the next one? Fundraising, Todd?
We're scheduled to meet on the 20th of this month. And hopefully we'll start being able to come up with some good ideas. There's difficulty, of course, with grants because we have to have something that we're going to be able to directly write towards. So if it's going to be a development or if it's going to be some educational resources, we need to be able to be very specific. The people who are providing the grants, they like to have a lot of information, especially things that are going to be measurable, things that we can meet within a certain criteria and time frame. And they like to have accountability for money. So with all that given, we need to kind of we need to identify one particular thing that we're going to be shooting for, and have the right people in place so that we can properly execute writing and submitting and then executing the grant. So again, we'll just be meeting on the 20th. Those who are in the fundraising committee, please check the email that I sent. And if there's any discrepancy, we can try to work out another date. It would be nice to get something permanent on the calendar for Zoom. So I'm working towards that angle, and at the next meeting, we'll see if we can figure something out.
Okay, thanks, Todd. John, the finance report.
Lots of different things going on. The monthly Finance Committee report, we're in good stead so far through 2020 with 37 members as of the end of January. Financially, of course, we're very sound because we have been collecting membership income, but we haven't really spent much money yet. Our major expenditures year to date have been for the Zoom room and its configuration. And I actually owe the fundraising committee another purchase that we had already talked about and approved, and we did. In light of the possible spike coming in .org names, we've gone ahead and renewed the website all the way through 2025, June of 2025. That was also a budgeted expense. Actually, the budget was amended before approved to reflect that expense. And Giving Tuesday, which was held in early December because of how late Thanksgiving was a good effort for us. Total of $1,400 came in, a $1,000 corporate donation, and then individuals contributed another $400 on top of that. With the annual report now done, my efforts will turn towards filing the necessary federal and state reports. We are required as a 501c3 to file a form with the Internal Revenue Service, not quite the same as a tax return for individuals. And because of our relatively small amount of income, it actually takes very little time to do that, but we are required to do that. Between that and the form, we are required to stay in good stead with the state of Kansas, which is where we're incorporated. Those efforts will be taken care of by the time we meet again next month. The big news, of course, is the annual report. And there are actually two reports now because the organization has continued to grow. One which focuses on just the organization's finances and highlights income and expense quarter by quarter for membership year 2019. The other being the prose, the actual written report. Because of larger than expected membership and a larger than expected conference in terms of attendees, we had a really good year. And the development, the discretionary funds, we had allocated a portion of that towards the development committee initiative to improve the software. Well, it turns out that the functionality we had voted for ended up in the software anyway. And so the money that had been earmarked for that was not actually spent. So we have quite a bit of money in our discretionary coffers right now, and it's good to be able to report that. And the organization as a whole, from 2018 to 2019, really improved its viability financially. Of note, there are a few recommendations that I will be working with the board on over the course of the coming year. One of these is the creation of the financial manager position, which is going to be designed to improve stability, both in terms of the organization's presence by continually providing a constant address for that, as well as some stability in finances, as opposed to the treasurer, which will cycle off possibly every 2 years, at maximum every 4. The financial manager position will essentially become like a business manager that will take care of a lot of the back end stuff and provide a level of stability for the organization that a lot of organizations simply don't have because of turnover in their administrative ranks. We're going to look at possibly opening an interest earning account. The interest, of course, would go back to the organization towards its discretionary income. And then finally, right now, the organization does not have a credit card. All of its expenses are paid through either a debit card or by check. That provides us a level of financial insecurity, if you will, because if one of the organization's debit cards gets swiped because of the lack of limits in place for spending, it's very possible very bad things could happen. So we will begin the exploration of getting an organization credit card, which does have federally provided limits on it in terms of fraudulent activity, which is an increasing threat to organizations as well as individuals. And that would provide us with an additional level of security. And I've begun a little bit of work looking into that so I can make some recommendations to the board probably within 3 months' time. So we're doing really well because we had a really good year last year. We had a good year in 2018 as well, and that was really our first year with a budget. That was our first year with a lot of different things financially. We did well that year. We did even better in 2019, and we have the means to be able to support a lot of different things right now. And I look forward to helping the organization with those. That's the treasurer's report, that's the annual report, and that's the monthly finance committee report. Lots of stuff there. Jason has provided the links to all of them. So if you would like to take a closer look at those, you've got the URLs to be able to do so. As always, I welcome any questions or comments you have about the activity. Send them directly to me at treasurer@koha-us.org. Thank you all, and it's been a pleasure, again, serving in this important role over the course of the past year.
What's that?
We still can't hear you. You're not muted, but it's like your mic is toggled up.
Okay. Now you can probably hear me. Yep. Okay, I put the links in the chat, and Fred said applause in the chat. Thanks so much, John, for everything you do. You do such a great job.
Thank you.
Okay. Open discussion, bugs, issues, etc. Anyone have any bugs they would like to talk about, especially with Global Bug Squashing Day coming up?
I have a bug. Now, it's kind of a different situation. It's actually bug 20,292, 20292. And it's actually been already integrated, pushed to master. But I'm wondering how I can get it backported to the version that we're on, which is 19.05.
Well, and it looks like Enhancement wasn't pushed back to 1905. I mean, if it doesn't have any dependencies, you could probably talk to your... Here's the link in the chat, Marty. You could probably talk to... You have support through Bywater, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You can always ask them. We've had them a couple times. They've been able to push bugs that didn't have dependencies that weren't getting released in our version if it was like really needed. I can't, like not this last fall update, but the previous fall update, there was something that was like that where it got pushed into the spring update, but it was an enhancement, even though it had changed a functionality to not have, like, they patched something, and then there was an enhancement that put it back to what it was, and they did push that for us early. So probably the best way would be to talk to them, because usually if they say enhancement not pushed to 1905, often they won't be pushing it. I don't think I've ever seen someone convince them otherwise once they've already decided it's not getting pushed back. But Bywater might be able to patch it for you early, depending on dependencies and if it breaks anything, if they do that.
Okay, thank you. That patch is a pretty cool patch, I think. It's great for privacy because it enables us to filter, like if Overdrive has a SIP connection, they could, take the user, not just the card number, but they could take the name and the date of birth and all this other information, their fines and fees and things like that, balances and things, on just a patron information request by a SIP. And we're trying to filter that, so it just brings down yes, this number is okay, let it through.
Lisette, if I can add? One thing I want to remind the group that's here is if you're trying to get something pushed through, of course, always good to go ahead and submit a ticket to Bywater if you are a Bywater partner, so we can start to work with you on that. Second thing is to make sure that you go to Bugzilla, add comments, and vote. They are watching to see that something is popular. If it rises to the top and it needs to be, action needs to be taken quickly on it, please make sure your voice is heard. And there was one other thing I wanted to add for that. Oh yeah, use the partner list. Use the partners at bywatersolutions.com and let everybody know what you're doing. It seems like a little politicking, but if you have something that you're really trying to get some support for, make sure that you take advantage of all the different channels and resources you have to get something pushed through. You got to be the squeaky wheel.
Speaking of squeaky wheels, I did just that thing, and it's on something that is pushed to stable for 1911. And again, it's wanting to get it backported. It's bug 24146. And it's one of those lovely accruing fine bugs. And when you pay an accruing fine and then you backdate the check-in, you get charged again for it. So it's something that, if since we don't have a way of blocking accruing fines being paid, nor necessarily the desire to do that, can cause a lot of problems from a customer service standpoint with patrons. So I just added a comment to it saying, hey, yes, please backport this. And if that is something that you also have a need of, please also comment on it. All of those things that Todd said. And I'll put the bug number. I'm sorry, I'm running two different stations.
I put the link in the chat.
Thank you. So yeah.
And also commented on the bug because, yeah, we have that problem a lot.
I mean, the fix for me is just to go fine free, but I haven't convinced the right people that we need to do that yet. So
yes,
every time somebody's like, I have a problem with the fine. Well, the easy fix to that.
What's going to happen is they'll fix all the bugs and then we'll go.
And that's fine too. That's fine too. But yeah.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks, Todd.
Okay. Let's see.
I'm going through the things that I know we have, the bugs that we're watching to see if there's something. Sorry.
I've got three to bring up. Let's see here. First one, I will put in the group chat. This is 24612. One thing that I had noticed recently, if you do smart slips for your holds that, or even just slips that post the expiration date for a hold on the slip, I noticed that date goes blank if a patron has more than one hold on an item on a bib. For example, we have magazines where you can hold multiple copies, because we keep all the different issues under one bib. So if they have a hold on one issue and they have a hold on another, and that one hold has come in and you trigger the hold, there's no expiration date printed on that slip. So that was something that just came on my radar, and that turned around really fast. It needs a sign off. So they're asking for a sign off on that one, and that's 24612. So just found that. Then the next one, and I just lost it. Let me go to this one. Let's see here. So 24203. So this particular bug is based off of one of the newer features that just got introduced, and I encourage people to get involved in this discussion on this bug because there's talk about needing to change how the long overdues notifications work, especially if you're going to use, let's see, make sure. If you're going to use the new cron job, there's a new cron job that allows you to have long overdues, varying long overdue notifications, or when things go overdue, excuse me, not the notifications. The notifications themselves do not coincide with this cron job. And so right now, the way that, for example, Bywater sets us up is our long overdue notifications are set up through, I cannot remember what the tab is in Koha, but it's not set up like regular notifications. It has its own triggers, and they have like 3 trigger points for overdues, and so they're utilizing that third trigger for the long overdues. So with this new cron job, you can have varying long overdue schedules, but the notifications will not line up with it. It means that you only have one set or one fixed point for your notifications. There are some workarounds. I guess there's a cron job to work around that, so you don't have to use those triggers. But with that, there are some limitations. I think you can't do, if I recall correctly, you can't do print notifications with that. It'll only do emails. So there are some things that need to be worked out so that people can take advantage of those variable long overdue trigger points with the long overdue cron job. That is another bug I encourage people to get involved with. And then I have one last one. Let me pull that one up.
While you're pulling that one up real quick, Holly asked in the chat if anyone was thinking of coming to the Hackfest in Marseille in March. And I haven't heard from anyone that they're planning on going. At least no one that's here. I know a couple folks from Bywater are going, but I don't remember who.
A couple.
That's what you said. I thought was that
No,
wasn't.
I'm saying it's going to be more than a couple.
Oh, more at least a couple.
Yeah.
I think I'd only heard 2 names, but I think you told me that there were going to be more.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't remember who the 2 you told me were. So then, Christopher, this bug 24449.
Yes, I just wanted to bring this up. It's been pushed to stable So it's not out on the version that we're on, unfortunately, but it's on the next version. But this is a SIP enhancement that was made. One of the things that we discovered working with Overdrive is, since we flipped over to not charging fines, we're blocking patrons with overdues. SIP does not have a consistent flag or message to indicate that they're being overdue blocked, and so it's difficult for vendors to recognize that and list that. So currently, they can see that an account is being blocked, but they have to put out a generic message on that block. So in our case, they're putting out a message that there's an issue with their account, or their account has been deactivated or suspended, and we get emails about that asking, why is my account not going through, and we have to explain, oh, it's because you have overdues. So I had put out a request about this, and they've already responded and added something to SIP, so that now SIP has a consistent message like all the other blocks, so that vendors can easily grab that and say, oh, okay, it's because you've got overdue items. So this is a really good move forward with SIP. And that's all I will say.
Okay, thanks, Christopher. And George added Bugzilla at koha-us.org to the CC list for those bugs, so they'll show on our bug tracking page on the website. And then he also had a question, it looks like. Doesn't PI equal N when there are too many overdues on an account?
Like I said, there is something to indicate that that the account is blocked, but there isn't anything specific to overdues in the SIP response. So there is nothing that they can actually see that's consistent. They get some kind of message, but the message is different for every circumstance. So there is nothing consistent to identify specifically that it is an overdue.
We have also had that problem here.
So this will be a good move forward and make it better for lots of vendors, not just Overdrive.
Okay, thank you very much. We've run over a little bit, so we're gonna end the meeting now. And conference committee will be meeting next to talk about Koha-a-thon. Thanks everyone for coming. And next meeting is March 11th.
Should we go ahead and maintain this Zoom link for our conference committee, or?
Yeah, it's gonna be the same link.
I'm gonna kill the recording.